Estás escuchando el podcast Aprender es Crear de Fundación Kichihua. El día de hoy vamos a tener extractos de una conferencia impartida por Ger Graus, el director de Educación en Kidzania. Kidzania es un parque de actividades para niños, donde ellos pueden elegir qué profesión van a desempeñar por medio de un juego y así aprender de diferentes experiencias y diferentes áreas del conocimiento. Este episodio va a tener bastantes secciones con inglés. Espero que eso no sea un problema para ti. Si lo es, de cualquier forma, voy a destacar los puntos más importantes al principio, antes de que empiece el inglés, para que te des una idea de cuál es el contenido de que vamos a estar platicando. Si el inglés no es un problema para ti, te recomiendo revisar la descripción. Ahí vas a encontrar un tiempo en el que la parte de la conferencia empieza. Así que puedes saltar a ese punto. De cualquier forma, dentro de unas semanas voy a sacar un artículo con esta información un poco más desglosada. Así que puedes seguirnos para cuando esté listo, yo voy a avisar por aquí. Bueno, empecemos.
There are three teachers of children: adults, other children, and their physical environment. We need to be more creative with our environment so that we encourage children to learn.
Durante esta conferencia, Ger Graus nos dio bastantes buenas ideas. Una de ellas es la que acabas de escuchar, que existen tres maestros para los niños: adultos, otros niños y también el ambiente. Y que el ambiente tenemos que adaptarlo nosotros para que sea una experiencia donde el niño pueda aprender por su cuenta. También más adelante él nos platica que los adultos no debemos de interferir con el proceso de aprendizaje de los niños, que tenemos que, aunque seamos el padre, aunque seamos el docente a cargo de ellos, tenemos que quedarnos observando, pero no manipulando la situación. Dejar que se cometan errores, dejar que el aprendizaje surja claramente. Vamos a estar ahí por si hace falta, pero hasta que el niño no nos pida esa intervención, nosotros no deberíamos de interferir con ese proceso de aprendizaje. Debemos de desarrollar el ambiente. Eso es lo que nosotros podemos modificar y eso es de lo que nos está hablando en esta primera sección. Después de eso, él nos comparte una reflexión sobre la percepción de los niños de la razón de por qué ir a la escuela. Nos platica que ha ido a varias escuelas alrededor del mundo y ha hecho esta pregunta: ¿por qué vienes a la escuela? La respuesta que más recibe es porque tengo que venir, lo cual él considera que es un error. En su investigación se dio cuenta que la forma de tener mayor participación en los niños es poner en práctica el conocimiento que están aprendiendo en la escuela, que tenga una utilidad. Esto lo hace fuera de la escuela, es decir, en visitas a museos, en visitas a sitios históricos, arqueológicos o en parques de actividades. Después de eso, él nos platica que una de las cosas más difíciles de hacer en Kidzania es el tener la equidad de oportunidades. Se da cuenta de que los niños aspiran a aquello que conocen, es decir, que solamente tienen en la mente las opciones de aquellas personas que los rodean, de aquello que ven en la televisión, en los medios. Es decir, si él no ve que una persona con sus características es un médico o es un aviador o es un youtuber, etcétera, es muy difícil que él aspire a ser ese tipo de profesión, ya que no tiene un marco de referencia. También nos comparte dos ideas más. La primera es que tenemos que dejar de valorar tanto las mediciones, es decir, tenemos que dejar de ponerle tanta importancia a las calificaciones, ya que no son un indicador a largo plazo del desarrollo de los niños. Más bien tenemos que empezar a pensar qué es lo que vamos a medir, qué es lo que realmente tiene importancia y a eso darle un valor. La segunda de estas ideas es que la pobreza es una discapacidad, al menos así la plantea él, porque nos hace tener limitaciones en cuestión de los trabajos a los que vamos a tener acceso y a la educación a la que tenemos acceso, y que pensar o decir acerca de la equidad de oportunidades es una cosa muy complicada de hacer, que es un ideal muy bonito, pero que en la realidad es muy complicado llegar a obtener eso. Al final de este episodio vamos a escuchar los resultados de esta investigación, también algunas historias al respecto, así como los siguientes pasos. Bueno, ahora sí, vamos a la conferencia. Espero que la disfrutes.
Children need to be able to write their own narrative of the possible. We have to stop telling children what they can and what they can't do, and we need to put them in a position whereby they can determine that themselves. And we need to use all that we have in the widest possible educational sense to make that happen. And then let's just imagine that you can go somewhere for 4 or 5 hours where no adult interferes and you can make up your own mind. It doesn't have to be that. That can be a zoo, that can be a museum, that can be a playground, that can be all sorts of places where you learn things by doing things, and where you learn that falling over hurts, and where you learn the next time not to fall over because you've got up and you try again and you build your own resilience. So how many opportunities do our children get to live their lives on their own? To actually make up their own minds? To actually go, I'm not doing that anymore because I didn't like it. So my eldest daughter did a work experience. She wanted to become a primary school teacher quite a few years ago. And she did the work experience for 2 weeks. She came back and she said, Dad, if it's the last job in the world, I will not do it. I hate it. So the school then wrote a letter. This is before emails, for those of you who don't know what letters are. The school then wrote a letter and said, we're very sorry that your work experience was not successful. So I rang up and I said, it's the most successful thing she's done in your school. Thank you for putting her in a position where she could make up her own mind. And that is the mindset I think that we need, and hence, and parents are terrible. And I say to children, tell me why you go to school. And the answer I get is, because I have to. That's not the right answer. It's not their fault, it's just not the right answer. But what I'm finding when I talk to kids who come to our place is that they're beginning to understand that in order to write the front page of the newspaper, which you can then take home and show off, and in order to be able to do that, I need to have English or Spanish or whichever country I'm in. That if I want to run the bank, having a little bit of mathematics is quite a good idea. So in a sense, in my simple mind, Kidzania to many people is my granddad. It gives purpose. I understand why. And some of the research shows that children engage with school more once they've been to after school hours activities. Not just hours. What schools need to do, they need to understand that the theory can be put into practice. And when those two are put together, and children are enabled and empowered to make up their own minds and join the dots, education becomes better. Because we understand why we do things. And then the hardest thing we do, and the hardest thing we have to do at Kidzania, is that everyone deserves a chance to walk with everyone else. Equality of opportunity is a phrase that is easily used. It's very hard to achieve. And many disabilities are not visible. And I don't care what people say, but when you are poor, when you are socially economic at the bottom of the ladder, you are disabled. You have enormous barriers. And it is our duty collectively to recognize that, to stand in those children's shoes and to make that difference. The grown-ups are there to be seen and not heard, i.e., the grown-ups cannot interfere, the teachers cannot interfere, and the parents can't interfere. Parents are born with an interference gene. They will say things like, I've come to complain because my daughter worked in the supermarket and I don't want her to work in the supermarket. How old's your daughter? Say, 4. Go and get a life, Mrs. Jones.
En menos de un minuto regresamos a la conferencia. Solamente te quiero hacer un pequeño aviso. Estamos teniendo varias pláticas con docentes y con padres. Estamos tratando de ver la forma en la que este tipo de ideas las podemos aplicar en una comunidad. Así que si tú conoces a un padre, a un docente que quiera platicar su experiencia con nosotros, que quiera aprender sobre temas de educación, que quiera enseñarnos sobre temas de educación, no dudes en mandarle este episodio y en mandarnos su contacto para nosotros poder platicar con él.
I talk to principals a lot, all over the world, and I say, how well do you know your children? And they'll say, I know all their predicted grades. That's not the same thing. Do you know which flavour crisps they like? And they go, no, why would I? Actually, because it's more important than the test result. In the long term, it is the bit. And we need to stop measuring for the sake of it. We need to stop measuring. We need to stop valuing only that we can measure. We need to measure what we value. And if you only read the books that everyone else is reading, you can only think what everyone else is thinking, ticky-tacky. We live in a world where we educate top down to the grey masses, but this university, more than most places I know, knows and practices individualization of the education agenda. Realizing potential is not something that you do to certain people. Realizing potential is something that you allow individuals to do. We analysed the first choices children make. And then we looked at who the children are. Are they 4? Are they 14? Boys, girls, black, white, rich, poor, urban, rural. And we did that research in a number of countries, including Mexico, the United Kingdom, India. We're now doing it in Dubai, and we want to do it globally. We want to create a global barometer of children's aspirations. Substantial numbers, so almost 500,000 children analysed. All over the world, all stereotypes are set at the age of 4. So you go into the aeroplane, pilot, cabin crew, pilot 90% boys, 10% girls, cabin crew 85% girls, 15% boys. Age 4, before they go to school. Age 14, those percentages remain the same. So whatever we try to do on the STEM agenda perhaps isn't working as well as we think. We need to think it through. Disturbingly, all over the world, almost all girls choose activities below their age range. And almost all boys choose activities above their age range. Confidence. How do we talk and how do we portray images, subliminal or not, to girls to make them so underconfident that whether they're rich or poor, they choose activities below their age range? And if they do that at the age of 4, what is the mindset like when they're 20? Children can only aspire to what they know exists. So you choose according to your menu of experiences. If your menu of experiences is limited, you go, like the children from our life school, which is a poor part of Sheffield, no child will go into the aeroplane as a first choice. They will choose the hairdressers, the courier service, or the maternity unit, or repairing cars, because that is in a sense their vista. And of course, children are multidimensional. We treat children as if they're either boys or girls, or either black or white. Actually, in the UK, if you are a black girl in an urban area, and you are from a socioeconomically lower background, you have a real job on your hands to catch up anybody. And we need to look at people that are more competent. What we're finding is quite clearly that education is the answer. Not schooling, but education in the widest possible sense. So creating experiences. And the other question I've got is, if all the stereotypes are set at the age of 4, why do we wait for another 10 years before we engage with children talking about what their futures might be? We need to collectively start to do that from the age of 4. The sense of purpose and the sense of looking forward. And we need to utilize technology. We need to welcome technology as the great leveler. It's a democratizing tool. Every child is everyone's responsibility because if at the age of 4 all the stereotypes are set, we can stop blaming the schools. It's not your fault. Yeah, everybody has contributed to the status quo, and everybody will have to contribute to making it better, including industry. They've got to stop complaining that the people they're getting haven't got the skills. They've got to come off the fence and help us make this happen. And the role we play equals the involvement we have. We need to move away in thinking around return on investment. We need to begin to think around return on involvement. It is much more powerful, it is much more sustainable, and it will last for generations. So what are we going to do next? We want to create that global barometer of children's aspirations, and I'd love to work with the university here to help them bring about. And then we want to launch a campaign for futures awareness. Every primary school in the world should spend at least 1 week engaging their children, thinking and meeting the world of work. And the world of future work. The world of AI, the purpose behind education. And dream. I'm tired of people who keep telling us that technology and the internet are scary. The future is scary. It's not scary, it's brilliant. It's amazing, the possibility. So we're going to create Kidzania online, we're going to create books, we're going to do our own TED Talks, and we're even talking in Moscow about creating a learning city. How cool would it be if in Moscow we gave every child an electronic passport? And for every museum visit they made, or gallery visit, or Kidzania visit, or zoo visit, they collect points on their electronic passport. And by the age of 16, those points get converted into additional grades, the kind of core curriculum approach. That's the plan. Recognition of the other bits outside of schooling. That's my daughter. That week she wanted to become an astronaut. This week she wants to become a lawyer. I have no idea what she wants to do next week. I just want her to dream. And it is my job to put her in a position for her to find out how she might get there.
Si llegaste hasta este punto es porque te gustó bastante el tema y seguro ya nos estás siguiendo. Así que espero que hayas aprendido algo de estas palabras. Si es así, comparte este episodio en tu cuenta de Instagram, en tus Instagram Stories, y etiquétanos @Kichihua con la frase, la palabra que más se te quedó de este episodio. Espero que estés muy bien y nos vemos pronto. Recuerda que aprender es crear.